Hi guys, welcome back, and today we're going to talk about Rumba Walks. Just simple steps forward and back for lighting, which will give you a clear understanding of your footwork, and we will touch just a little bit on your hips. Okay, so let's go ahead and start it with simple walk forward and bending your back leg. So what I want you to realize that before you start moving your body more to the next step, you have to get into this position. Your back foot should be on the ball of the foot, on your toe actually, then you're bending your knee and then you're pulling it through. From this position, that's very important over here. I hope you can see, I call it triangle. This back leg is straight, front one is bending in the knee, and my knees pushing away from each other to create a bigger line over here. So next, what I will do, I will put my straight my knee, put my heel down, and that's a time for me to push from the back leg, push from the back foot. So it's not into this movement, my body will stay straight, I will push it from my foot. From this position, I will settle a little bit in the hip. I don't want to talk about hip action a lot, but since we have this position right now, we have to go through this small hip action. You see, so it's going forward. Now we start turning that hip, and that's what bending back knee. So rotation in this hip brings your left knee forward. And from this position, you will open that leg, putting left heel down, left knee is straight, and pushing yourself from the back foot. So that foot goes from your flat foot to the ball of the foot. And when you're shifting your weight all the way on the left leg, that's when your toe comes to work, and that's when your hip start turning. Opening, straightening, pushing from the back foot, and then creating rotation. I want to do it this way so you can see what's going on in my hips. Step. Now I'm pushing from my foot. That's when you can see slightly more rotation in my hips to the left. Now my hips going to the front leg, and I'm turning on the right hip. I'm already completely on the right leg, left toe stays on the ground, and I'm pulling left toe, bending left knee, and pulling that leg with my right hip. Now I'm straightening left leg and pushing from the right foot. Right foot pushes me forward, but I'm keeping my body straight. So I'm not going left or right or forwards. Just keep it straight, push from the back leg, go into your left hip, settle in the left hip, start turning it, and pull back leg. I really want you to feel that you can pull right now with the top of the foot on the floor. So your knee is bending, knee pulling your foot. Left hip pulling your right knee, and knee pulling your foot. Pull straight and gradually shift your weight on that leg. Now same situation with opposite leg. Right hip will pull left knee, and you see my foot, it's still not moving. It's hip, knee, and then will be your foot. Okay, so that's what is very important, that connection, that you start your action in your hip, into your knee, and then foot. Don't do this without your hip. Start at least a little bit in your hip, at least some small rotation, just normal rotation if you're afraid of doing or you're losing balance. Just that much already will be plenty for you to start feeling that connection in your knees and hips. The small rotations, just shifting weight from leg to leg, it already allows you a small rotation in the hips. Make sure that when you do that small rotation, your shoulders are not turning. Because if you do this, basically you're not turning your hips, but you're turning your entire body, so then you will lose balance even more. It's very important when you're practicing it, hold your elbows in front of yourself, or open your arms, or do it in front of the mirror so you can control this position so it's not going anywhere else. So go ahead, let's put for now your elbows, hug your elbows and bend, get into your hip, bend that knee, hip, knee, and then foot. Straight leg, shift your weight from the back heel, then go again to your hip, knee, foot. Step, hip, knee, foot. Step, hip, knee, foot, step. And 2, and push it, 3, and push it, 4, push it, 2, push it, 3. So when I say push it, I mean this action right here, push from the back foot. Don't arrive on the front leg immediately. If you're making a step and you're 100% already there, there is no chance for you to work with that hip correctly, because your body will fall to the next step. So make sure when you're opening your leg here, you see where is my body weight? It's still on the back leg. I feel like 60% on the back leg. And now it's gradually going to the 100% on the right leg. 60 on the back leg. Now gradually I'm pushing from that foot, and that's what creates extra hip rotation. Don't try to do a lot. It will naturally happen if you have correct foot placement. And then from here, going into your left hip, bring your knee first, foot, and step. And when you're doing this step, I hope you can see my back hip right here, it's still there, so don't do this. Keep your hip with your back leg. And then gradually you're shifting, and that's when your hip comes forward. Hip comes forward. Step, stay on the back leg, gradually push yourself forward, get on the front leg, start turning your hip, your knee, and then your foot, and repeat. Okay, it's very important just to get used to this sequence of working your hip, knee, foot. You can just practice it even right here in place, starting just with one standing leg, and practice it just how you can bring it in. Same thing on the other leg. Start with your hip, knee, foot. Hip, knee, foot. Hip, knee, foot. Hip, knee, foot. Very good. And few steps on Rumba Walks back. So when we're going back, what is super important is the timing when you are moving your leg. So before we start moving back, you have to settle in the hip. Again, your hip will bend your knee, like we did forward but opposite. So hip goes back. So if I'm going with my right foot back, my left hip goes back. Left hip turns back, I'm bending my foot. Now when I'm going back, I have to straighten my knee, put my heel down, and then gradually push myself from the front leg. And then while I'm pushing, I'm going to the back hip. And that hip, what will happen? Will bend this knee. Hip, knee. It works together. Hip, knee. Hip, knee. Hip, knee. And last one, hip, knee. Now I'm going back straight. That back leg step will be small, so don't try to do a big one. Straight that knee, put your left heel down, and now gradually push from the front leg. The foot pushes me back, and that goes into my hip. So it does not go back into my hip. I got into my hip, that brings my knee. Then I'm moving my leg back, straightening that knee, heel down, push into my hip. Hip brings my knee, foot, heel down, pushing from my foot into my hip. Hip brings my knee, foot, heel down, hip, knee, foot, heel down. One more time, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, towards the camera, and 2 and 3 and 4. Now going back, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's great to practice in the hallway where you have a more straight line, so you can just keep going forward or keep going back. And like I said earlier, focus please on the connection between your hip, knee and then foot. So don't try to bring your foot before your hip or before your knee. Make sure that it starts here, then to your knee, then to your foot. Doesn't matter where you go, back or forward, it's always the same sequence. Hip, knee, foot. Good job guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye!